My most important collaborators day to day, I would say almost always has been my cinematographer. I've been very, very fortunate because I've had four great cinematographers, but most particularly Conrad Hall, who shot my first and second movie and won the Academy Award for both of them. And for me, that's my rock. It seems to me the way into every scene is visual, and so I'm always hand in glove with him or her. I also work with a great female cinematographer, Alan Curis. Second to that would be the actors. But every actor needs something different. So some are close collaborators, some don't want a collaboration. They want really slightly more distance between them and the director. So it's about reading what each actor needs. For me, theatre and film directing are in almost every regard completely different. And I think that technically they are almost in opposition to each other. What you're trying to get a stage actor to do is to recreate, to repeat night after night. And so you're trying to remind him or her to remember what they're doing. So you're engaging the actor's outside eye all the time. On film, you want spontaneity, you want freedom, you don't want repetition, you want something new, every take, something different, something fresh. So actually you're disengaging the actor's outside eye. The one thing that is the same is that theatre teaches you to tell a story to a group of people in a room that lasts 2.5 hours. And unless you're making a movie, it's very difficult to hone that skill in any other way. So for me, what theatre taught me, and where the two have great similarities, is that what you're doing is you're communicating to a group of people in a dark room. And I know it sounds obvious, but actually those two things are huge overlap. My student days, the film that influenced me most when I started was a Sam Mendes movie called Paris, Texas, which for me is a great mythic contemporary film written by a great playwright, Sam Shepard, and sort of married both theatre and film in one movie. Beyond that, I'm influenced by so many different films all the time, and it depends what I'm working on, of course. But the great and obvious films, the Citizen Kanes and the Psychos and the Godfathers, but then some eccentric movies as well. I grew up watching television comedy mostly, so for me, I still love and was very influenced by a lot of the Peter Sellers movies, along with the Python TV shows with Leonard Rossiter and Ronnie Barker doing Porridge, Leonard Rossiter doing Rising Damp. Those great comic performances influenced me enormously when I was a kid. The Hustler, Citizen Kane, 400 Blows, Dolce Vita. Not doing badly off the top of my head. These are my favourite black and white films, in case you didn't hear the question. And probably Chaplin, I would say, Modern Times, and City Lights, the two of my favourites. One of the things I set out to do was always try to stretch myself and to work in areas that up to that point I'd never worked in before. The only time I've ever done two movies very similar back to back is Skyfall and Spectre, which in a way you could say is almost the same movie stretched over 5 hours, but it is the same characters. But apart from that, every movie has been different from the last one and different from anything else I've done. And I think it'll take me a long time before I run out of new genres and new things to push into. So I would say it's probably unlikely. The first real stager of great crowd action is Buster Keaton. You could argue that the grandfather of the action sequence is Buster Keaton in The General. But I wouldn't say I thought a lot about physical comedians when I directed Daniel Craig as James Bond. But what you learn from great comics is rhythm. What I learned from watching Rossiter and Cleese and Barker and all those guys is rhythm and timing. And that is the same across all genres of movies, not just comedy, but everything. And in a way, film directing is your very own particular rhythm honed. Trust your early collaborators. I think there are people that I worked with early on that I wish I'd stuck with more. Pretty much all of them I've come back to eventually. But I think if you find a team that you love and a team that really understands the way you work and wants to work with you, you should keep hold of them.
What's your top tip for learning lines? Your top tip for learning lines is if you can't remember a line, it's because you don't want to say the line. It's because you think, I don't want to say that. And then when you work out what it means, then you're able to remember it.
One of the important things I learned from the transition from film school to working in a professional environment was how important it was to work well with people. There was a kind of film school, you know, it's my film and you feel you can behave badly. Actually, in the real world, I've realised that you have to learn how to get on with people. You have to learn how to get the best out of people.